public session we had at the school. So now we are moving to the very last part of the training, the concluding session. We have 6 on the dais and 1 joining online. 2 of our guests are on the way, so I hope they will join in a couple of minutes. So we will just start. I request Dr. V. Shakila, Director of Ms Swaminathan Research Foundation, for officially welcome the delegates and the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Prajesh. Very good afternoon, all. So our training program has come to an end. It is the final program, final session. And this is a very important program that we have conducted in 2 sessions, one in the state level, as second as the national level. So the rivers are the lifeline of the land. So understanding that importance, we have done the sessions. Now I would like to welcome all of you to this session. So initially at the outset, I would like to welcome Shri Omallur Shankaran, District Panchayat President of Pathanamthitta District. Out of his busy schedule, he has taken out time to join with us for this important program. And it means a lot to us because the governing authorities are giving attention to the river health, protection and management. On behalf of the participants and organizers, we extend a warm welcome, Shri Omallur Shankaran. And I think he's on the way. He'll be joining us shortly. Next, I would like to welcome Srimati Shija T. Toji, President Aranmula Gram Panchayat. Welcome, ma'am. Yeah, she'll be giving the presidential address. And the next, I would like to welcome Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, Professor, Mumbai University, to deliver the Earth Day message to us. We are so happy to have you here, sir. Out of your busy schedule, you have found time to spend with us. On behalf of the participants and organizers, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Welcome. Next, I'm privileged to, okay. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. Rajendra Shinde, who has joined online with us, former Director, United Nations Environment Program, Director, Terre Policy Center, and person who holds many significant positions in government and in the society. We are so fortunate to have you with us, sir. With all respect, I extend my hearty welcome to sir. Welcome, sir. It's my great pleasure to invite Dr. Anil Kumar, the backbone of this program, to our function. He is the right person. He's the right person to draw the way forward plan for us. I'm duty bound to welcome Dr. Anil Kumar here. Hence, on behalf of the participants and organizers, I extend a warm welcome to sir. Welcome, sir. Now, I'm privileged to invite Sri Raju Abraham, former member, Pamba River Basin Authority, to this program. It was because of his hard work and timely interventions, the Pamba River is still seeing in the current health. We are fortunate to have him here. On behalf of the participants and organizers, I extend a warm welcome to Sri Raju Abraham. I think he's on the way. He'll be joining us shortly. I take this opportunity to welcome Father Jyotish Sam, Director of this center, for our program. All these days, he has provided a wonderful support as a host and as an organizer. I thank him for all his support and I welcome him to this function. On behalf of the participants and organizers, I extend my hearty welcome to Father. Welcome, Father. I also will welcome Ms. Parvati, my colleague and the major coordinator, to tend the vote of thanks for this function. As you are all aware, she has coordinated this function very well, starting from your travel to your return journey. I am happy to welcome her for our function. Welcome, Parvati. At last, I welcome all the participants once again to this program and all interested people to this function. Together we can make this function a memorable one. Thank you all. Thank you.
So thank you, Shakila ma'am. So with the permission of the president of this session, on behalf of the participants, I would like to invite Professor Sanjay V. Deshmukh for the keynote address, because the validity address will be given by District Panchayat President is on the way.
Good afternoon, everybody. The president of today's valedictory function, Madam Shija Toji, the President of Aranmula Gram Panchayat, my old-time friend and the Senior Director of Ms Swaminathan Research Foundation, Dr. Anil Kumar, Director of Ms Swaminathan Foundation, Madam B. Shakila, the senior staff and members of the Ms Swaminathan Research Foundation, both from Chennai as well as from Wayanad office. The director of, the president of District Panchayat, Pathanam Titha, Shri Omalur Shankaran, who will be joining us shortly. Advocate Raju Abraham, the former member of Pampa River Basin Authority. Today's guest of honor and one of the very senior advocates of conservation movement in India, Dr. Rajendra Shinde, whom I have had the privilege of interacting a few times. And I used to attend or rather participate in the COP meetings, the conference of the parties. And that's where we have had the privilege to be participating together as the Indian delegate. And he's here online, who has been former director of UNEP as well as TERE Policy Center currently in Pune. We have Shrimati Sindhu Abraham, the member of Aranmula Grama Panchayat. We also have with us, not in this room, but Honorable Reverend Father of this complex, of this institution, under whose benign roof and under whose blessings we are all here in this program. It has been a privilege, of course, the senior members of the foundation as well as the technical persons who are helping this entire program. It has been a privilege to be with all of you since this morning, and particularly to have participated briefly in this unique program on river health monitoring and restoration, particularly with reference to biological indicators for river health and restoration. It has been a very thoughtfully organized program, and I must congratulate Dr. Anil Kumar for his vision and the overall guidance under the umbrella of Dr. Ms Swaminathan himself, that this foundation is functioning. And it has been a privilege to be part of this foundation at the time of beginning of my personal professional career. We had a very interesting session in the morning, and there were a lot of things to learn from Professor Nanda Kumar and his colleagues. The principal sir also is here, and he was all the time coordinating between many members, and he was introducing me to them. Thank you, sir, for your kindness. And it has been a privilege to interact with all of you, and I hope to continue this association in years to come. I have 30 minutes. I've spent 3 minutes already. But I particularly want to thank Parvati Madam, whom I have not seen except her DP on the WhatsApp, which I can see her in the tea gardens like this. And it was like a blessing of Lord. When I was coming from Cochin, he was offering from the front, and Madam offered in the beginning itself from the backhands. But it has been a very kind gesture from her side to have coordinated my logistics and travel and assured me that there will be somebody to receive me. Today being Earth Day, I would like to not only wish all of you, but congratulate all of you to have been active practitioners of Earth movement at your level, even though it may not be a professional commitment, but at personal level, you are all committed. And that is how you have all assembled here. Our guest from Central America is somebody whom I would like to appreciate and admire, because her typical Indianness has inspired me, and she has started looking like Amma herself. And I must appreciate her contribution to this program as well. I'll be reading largely the content of my write-up, which I have prepared with great difficulty, because with a conglomeration of eminent personalities and experienced people like all of you who have been working in water related issues for several years, I do not know how much I would be able to add to your wisdom. But whatever I have been able to work with the help of my colleagues, students, collaborators, teachers, and well-wishers, I would like to share some of those things. And it may look little narrative, but I felt, having gone through 4.5 days of exhaustive sessions of PowerPoint presentation and some field level experiences, I thought this can be little bit of narrative as well as extempore. I took little time to put things together, but I hope you will be able to take back some message about the theme on which this workshop has been based. Respected delegates, 22nd April is commemorated all over the world as Earth Day. It is of particular significance this year because several essential life support systems like soil, water, biodiversity, and climate, flora and fauna are undergoing severe damage. According to the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystems Services, more than 75% of land has been altered by human action. Entire world has been stressing the need for urgent action in preventing further land degradation. Sustained efforts have been on since 1992, when in Rio de Janeiro, the United Nations organized the first ever Global Convention on Environment and Development. Though one of our visionary prime ministers, late Srimati Indira Gandhi, as early as in 1972 in Stockholm Intergovernmental Conference, had sounded that the poverty is directly linked to the loss of biological diversity. And rightly so, if you look at the tropical belt of the planet, that is 25 degrees north and 25 degrees south latitude, we have 77% of the world's biological diversity assembled in this tropical belt. And at the same time, about 75% of the world's poor are also residing in this region. The environmentally rich, the biodiversity rich regions of the world are economically poor. And that is how they are called the region of developing nations. And all these nations have to sacrifice their ecology for the want of keeping balance with respect to their GDP or economic balance. If you look at the global scenario 500 years before today, the gross development product, the GDP, the contribution of India to the world's GDP was about 23%. And in 2000, that number was taken over by the United States. The United States contribution to the global GDP was 23%. It had dropped down to merely 3%. But if you look at the map of the world 500 years before today, the United States itself was not there on the map of the world. So these nations have made so much progress, and the country with wisdom, which provided leadership to the world in all kinds of spheres of life and related activities, is now struggling to get back to that normalcy, thanks to the invasion, thanks to the robbing of our natural heritage as well as the intellectual property, due to which we lost the confidence in ourselves, and we have come to a stage where we are just trying to getting back to providing leadership. And the 21st century is going to be ours, not only because the population of India is below 35, almost 55% population, but also that the policies that the government is planning with respect to not only conservation, but sharing these resources equitably to provide ecological balance, the ecological security, which has to be coupled with livelihood security of our people. And that is how we'll be in a position to improve on our economy, is imperative. And we have no choice but to take the lead in the 21st century to provide leadership to the nation. What I'm trying to highlight here is that land and water security is fundamental to human well-being and survival. The provision of soil health cards to farmers, the concept itself was developed by Ms Swaminathan in 1991 when I was just about a year old in the foundation. And we used to work together for all the programs that the foundation had initiated. And we used to really look at with amusement and with amaze that the vision that Dr. Swaminathan had was something which we could not even imagine. A person like him, as all of you know, is very rare to be giving that leadership to the world. The soil health card was one aspect, but basically the human induced damage is much more, which is also leading to the climate change. And these two things add to the major problem of what the world is facing today. 52 years before today, millions of people from every corner of the world, particularly the United Nations, the United States, joined for the common cause to demand basic protections to safeguard our planet for future generations. In this way, the first Earth Day helped all of us transform the ways we interact with the world around us. And it changed how you view our impact on the natural world, thereby inspiring the creation of various ministerial portfolios for environmental protection and also landmark legislations in most of the nations that protect the air that we breathe, the water we drink, and the animals that live alongside us. Today, as the entire world has resolved to build on the progress made in nearly half century since, we all must reaffirm our commitment to living a clean, healthy earth for our children and grandchildren. Sustainable development requires sustained attention to safeguarding the enriching of life support systems. Therefore, it will be appropriate if our panchayats and grassroots democratic bodies, as well as universities, promote a Guardians of Earth program in order to ensure that our natural assets are protected for the needs of the population of today and tomorrow. The major role of such Gandhians will be spreading environmental literacy and proactive action. The Ms Swaminathan Foundation efforts in coastal systems research, biological diversity, sustainable and rural development, reaching the unreached, information technology, special projects which started in 1988 when one of the world's scientific leader and visionary, Dr. Ms Swaminathan, chose to judiciously utilize the prize money of $1 million under the World Food Prize in establishing what the world knows today as the MSSRF, which would not only look at critical issues that the world is facing today by way of initiating fundamental anticipatory research. Welcome, sir. What the world knows today as MSSRF, which would not only look at critical issues that the world is facing today by way of initiating fundamental anticipatory research, but also look at contemporary issues that the world leads to supplementing global efforts in saving our planet. Today, the foundation has created over 300 leaders in various niche areas of environment and development, which I call a true success in helping India provide global leadership in every aspect of environment and development. In this context, the initiative of MSSRF in the areas of river health monitoring and restoration in the context of biological indicators for river health and restoration is a timely step in supplementing global efforts of addressing all the 17 sustainable development goals that the entire world is looking forward to achieve. If you look at water, water is essential for thriving of people. It is needed for domestic purposes, agricultural, industrial, and energy production. And these uses are highly interlinked and sometimes in competition to each other's use. Water consumption patterns in India is around 90% in agriculture, 6% in domestic and 4% in industrial use. Usage of water by industrial and domestic purposes generates wastewater that may cause pollution. However, agricultural usage largely remains consumptive. India, being an economy in transition from developing to developed nation, is faced with two problems. On the one side, lack of infrastructure, and on the other, an ever-increasing urban population. The population pressure on the world itself is so much that every decade we are now adding 1 billion population to the world's total population. The urban population in India was about 387 million in 2011 and rose to about 425 million by 2017. Now it has already crossed about 500. This has thrown up two self-perpetuating problems, that is shortage of water and sewage overload. It is estimated that by 2050, more than 50% of the country's population, estimated as 100,000 million, will live in cities and towns, and thus the likely demand for infrastructure facilities, including fresh water, for drinking and resultant wastewater discharges are expected to rise sharply, posing a challenge to urban planners, policymakers, environmental regulators, and managers. Water that supports productive activities such as agriculture, generation of hydropower, municipal drinking water supply, industrial consumptive and non-consumptive uses, etc., have competitive demand that leads to no flow or very meager flow in the rivers' sand streams for sustaining environmental concerns. When we talk about rivers, human development has resulted in significant decline in the health of rivers globally. This is in turn impacting the many benefits that rivers provide to society, that is ecological services, ecological services. Population growth, urbanization, and climate change, among other factors, are expected to place further pressure on river ecosystems over coming decades. River restoration, as all of you have been interacting and deliberating upon for the last 4 days, is now a common response to declining river health, and its importance to water resources management can only be expected to grow. River restoration includes any action aimed at improving the health of a river, including improving ecosystem function and any related ecosystem services. River restoration also is necessary where river systems have degraded to the point where they can no longer provide the services required to them. Restoration may be triggered by ecological considerations, social and cultural factors, economic drivers, the need to protect infrastructure and assets from water-related risks, and increasingly from the multifaceted objective of achieving water security. Restoration is an important part of water resources management system as well. It can assist with balancing the needs of people for freshwater ecosystem services with anthropogenic pressures on river ecosystems. This requires an understanding of the relationships between the way a river functions and the demands and impacts people have on the river. The restoration of rivers has also evolved over the time from one-dimensional responses aimed at addressing a single issue, that is water quality, to more sophisticated approaches that address multiple drivers and can involve both active restoration, that is physically changing the river or landscape, and passive restoration, which involves policy measures designed to change human behavior. The challenges for river restoration I'm sure, have been discussed in the last 4 days. But the managers of river, they face significant challenges in restoring river ecosystems. These challenges include returning rivers to actual state is not feasible in most situations. The traditional approaches in river restoration have relied on the use of natural rivers as a benchmark. The degree of change in river basins around the world means that in many cases, returning rivers to a pre-development condition is now physically or economically impractical. Second point is balancing the multiple roles of a river. The restoration is now often required to achieve multiple objectives by balancing the natural functions of the river with specific human needs, which can require trade-offs in planning processes. Increasing uncertainty over future conditions, where the gross uncertainty over the future of river basins make it challenging to ensure that restored rivers are suited to the future world. Complexity and scale of the issue is that the many restoration projects have failed as a result of tackling issues at the wrong spatial scale, often failing to consider basin level processes. Operating at a larger scale requires consideration of greater number of issues, engagement with wider range of stakeholders, and linking to a wider range of planning and management instruments. Therefore, we require a strategic approach to the entire gamut of river restoration. And it can be a systems-based approach, recognizing physical, socio-economic, political, and cultural aspects of the connected river and human systems. A greater role for river restoration planning in balancing trade-offs within the basin. An adaptive approach is also possible, which tests the assumptions that underpin restoration efforts and allow for changes to goals and approaches over time. The strategies also need to identify and respond to the links between external drivers, catchment and river processes, river health, and the provision of ecosystem services and societal priorities. River restoration thus can be supported by a combination of policies, strategies, and policy level and project level matters. And these plans can be implemented, which are also called different instruments. They should also be aligned and develop synergies with one another, as well as with regulatory and planning instruments. Therefore, I think all these activities will have to include basin development and conservation plans. When we are talking about setting up goals and developing a strategy for river restoration, then the action plan will have to be drawn, which will have to consider the aspects such as the current condition of the river system, its historical trajectory, and likely future state of the system, the priorities for and demands on the basin, including those related to socio-economic development and ecosystem conservation, feasibility of different options and potential constraints, such as limitations as a result of budget, capacity, political will, or instrumentation or institutional mandate. The appropriate scale at which to intervene also is very important. The different measures that we are going to take, the effectiveness of that will also be important, in addition to their efficiency and the approaches that we are going to take that are more likely to be sustainable over the medium to long-term goals of the project. How do we have measures of river restoration? There are many potential measures that can be implemented as a part of restoration strategy. The restoration measures can be classified based on the element of the river ecosystem that is the primary focus of river restoration. Restoring one element of the ecosystem, that is improving flows, can of course have significant impacts on the other aspects of the system. We will also have to look at monitoring and adaptive management, where monitoring against defined and measurable objectives is critical for assessing the effectiveness of river restoration measures and for guiding adaptive measurement. Monitoring programs should validate or even disapprove the scientific assumptions that underpin the restoration strategy and should provide evidence about whether restoration projects have been successful. An appropriate scale of monitoring that will detect the impacts of restoration over a relevant time frame is required and should continue long after the restoration actions have been completed. The financing the restoration practices is extremely important in any effort that is a coordinated effort that we consider. There can be significant restoration costs to the projects, but also benefits associated with river restoration. Any analysis of river restoration options would consider who wins and who loses from each potential intervention. Options for financing river restoration include requiring the polluter and beneficiary or society through taxation as a whole to pay, or a combination of both. How do we really create an enabling environment through this process of restoration of rivers? Beyond the specific technical and practical aspects of developing and implementing a river restoration strategy, there is a range of administrative, management, and other supporting elements that need to be considered. And they include policies and laws to define the overarching objectives and principles for the restoration work, as well as to provide a head to power for certain actions. Institutional arrangements to establish the mandate and accountability for restoration and to coordinate between different institutions. Funding to ensure that the financial resources are available to support implementation as well as to manage ongoing costs. Stakeholder engagement to ensure different views that are considered as a part of the planning process and to strengthen political support at all levels for action. And science monitoring and research to provide a basis for rational decision making as well as to assess compliance and impact through monitoring and to support adaptive management. A young framework to support planning and implementation is very important, and these systems and processes can also be critical for ensuring the long-term sustainability of restoration efforts. For example, by ensuring long-term revenues streams to maintain or refresh capital works by establishing appropriate institutional arrangements to ensure alignment with long-term development plans, and through regulatory engagements that protect the gains made through the restoration and avoid undermining of those efforts through ecologically harmful practices within the basin. We have a coastal state of Maharashtra where we have about 57 different creeks and estuaries and the rivers which originate from the range of Western Ghats. I was very fortunate to conduct my studies for my PhD on mangrove ecosystems, as I mentioned in the morning. And I practically crisscrossed each of these creeks and rivers along the coastal Maharashtra, both through the waterways upstream from the mouth of the river or creek, and also from both the banks of these rivers and estuaries by road. And it was a unique experience in addition to surveying the entire coastline of India, as I also mentioned in the morning. And that gave us a different perspective about how the people are dependent on the ecosystems. The ethnobotany or the management perspective, the restoration practices, the evaluation and utilization of these resources associated with mangrove ecosystems was a unique experience that helped me perceive my studies even today. Some of my students are still working on climate change impact on mangrove ecosystems, particularly with respect to carbon sequestration. The rivers that we studied, one of the major creeks that separates on the eastern side the island of city of Mumbai from the mainland, was one such area where I conducted extensive studies, because the 4,000 acres of mangrove patch that was there under the auspices or ownership of the Sunabai Pirocha Godrej Foundation was at my disposal as a researcher, where I conducted my studies. And that was the area which Dr. Ms Swaminathan visited on 14th of January 1988. And what a privilege it was to meet him for the first time in my life on the Makar Sankranti day, as you know. And as the sun changes he enters the Makara Rashi and changes the perspective of the world. I think that is how Dr. Swaminathan came in my life. The Thane Creek ecosystem, along with some of the western coast rivers and creeks of Mumbai Island, are basically subjected to more than 60% untreated sewage. And the city of Mumbai has a population equivalent to Australia, more than 2.5 crores. And the city of Thane, the district of Thane, also has a population of about close to 0.75 crores. So 60% of untreated sewage getting released in the creek, the major creek like Thane, which actually joins the estuary of Ullas River, which in the northern side separates the Mumbai Island from the mainland. It was a major challenge for us to look at the restoration of these resources. And we looked at not only biological resources that were prevalent, but also the pressures of developmental projects, where one of the major projects of sewage disposal that was called Bombay Sewage Disposal Project, where they were going to have aerated lagoons along the fringe of Mumbai Island and sacrificing some of the mangrove patches to the extent of about 1500 acres was proposed. So how did we look at the restoration of these degraded areas and also minimizing the efforts by way of introducing technology, that is the sewage disposal project itself, which created about 6 aerated lagoons. However, the time span and the budget, the funding aspects was a very critical factor, and the delay in release of grants also led to completion of project okay, but by the time the completion was made, the population that one was envisaging to treat the sewage, it had grown multifold. And the project, even though was completed, still has a major challenge of looking at least 40% untreated sewage, which is released in the creeks and estuaries surrounding the island of Mumbai. You can imagine the impact that can create not only on the environment, but also the health of the people who are residing in Mumbai. The Thane Creek restoration program that we started about 15 years back through an NGO called Enviro Vigil or Paryavaran Dakshata Mancha, located in Thane. We were in a position to critically monitor the creek of Thane, which was studied by researchers since early 70s. And we had data for almost 35 years when we started this effort in 2005. And it helped us to not only have progressive account of the impact that the anthropogenic factors are playing upon the creek as well as the estuarine region of Ullas River. We were in a position to look at accumulation of heavy metals in the faunal elements like crabs or fish or the bivalves for that matter. And we were in a position to monitor the increase or decrease of these elements which were harmful to the health of people. And they were not really looked into till the time the studies came out in the form of a report and submitted to the municipal corporation of both Thane and Mumbai. The restoration efforts then started, and we looked at not only the river system as well as the creeks, but the basin, entire basin of these two systems, in addition to the river, the Mithi River, which flows from the Powai near IIT, originates from there and meets on the westward side at Mahim after flowing about 40 kilometers, 35 kilometers. So there was an effort of policy initiative and a political will, which helped us in looking at restoration of these systems, not to the extent that one can envisage by looking at a water that will look clean, but one was able to revive some of the lost natural resources, like some of the species of fish which had disappeared, they emerged, they came back, and some of the mangroves, which are also indicators. You had one session on biological indicators. Mangroves are very good indicators with respect to absorption of heavy metals, particularly mercury and lead and other elements as well. And we were in a position to increase the intensity of planting of these species, particularly Avicennia marina, that helped in absorbing the pollution levels that were pertinent by way of disposal of various industrial wastes in addition to the solid wastes and untreated sewage. So we have had the experience of restoring these three ecosystems, not to the extent that one could call them ideal, but we were able to define golden rules for restoration based on that. And these rules, I would like to end my talk with. There are 8 rules that we feel that are very important. First is identify, understand, and work with the catchment and riverine processes, where we have to understand the physical, chemical, and biological processes that drive river health, which is very critical to understanding the causes of declines in river health, the loss of ecosystem services, and to identifying the most effective and efficient restoration measures. Second point is to link socioeconomic values and integrate with broader planning and developmental activities. A strategic river program of restoration should recognize, incorporate, and involve all the existing strategies that affect the river or are affected by it to identify achievable objectives. Planning should reflect the priorities of different types of community, while at the same time ensuring broad consistency with strategic objectives. Third point is restore ecosystem structure and function by working at an appropriate scale to address limiting factors to river health. where the measures of restoration need to respond to the factors that are limiting river health, wherever they may be. In most cases, coordinated driving factors like delivery of planning, implementation, and monitoring of restoration activities is very important and is required on a regional scale with local scale delivery capabilities. We have to set clear, achievable, and measurable goals. The objectives and goals have to be framed as much as possible in terms of measurable changes to ecosystem function, the provision of ecosystem services, and wherever feasible, socio-economic factors. The fifth is build resilience to future change, where planning and implementation needs to consider likely changes in the landscape over time, including to the climate, land use, hydrology, pollutant loads, and the river corridor. Given the gross uncertainty over future conditions, river restoration should aim to provide resilience to a range of scenarios. Sixth is ensure the sustainability of restoration outcomes. The river restoration strategies should be planned, implemented, and managed with a view to achieving outcomes that are sustained over long term. Seventh is involve all relevant stakeholders. An integrated approach addressing land and water issues and involving interagency and community collaboration is likely to achieve the best results. And lastly, but not the least, monitor, evaluate, adapt, and provide evidence of restoration outcomes, which will include monitoring against defined and measurable objectives, which is very critical as a means of guiding adaptive management. Respected delegates and dear participants, this is what I thought I should share with you on the occasion of conclusion of this very important event, which is not conclusion, but I would say it will be a beginning for all of us to look at restoration of ecosystems, particularly the rivers, aiming at with a coordinated effort of wisdom, which you have all gathered through your careers. And we will continue to complement with our efforts to work very closely with Ms Swaminathan Foundation under the leadership of Dr. Anil Kumar and Shakila Madam. And as I conclude, I also would like to reiterate that the Sustainable Development Goals, they have been framed, they have been defined, the targets are set, but they are not met because of various factors. And the major factors is human beings. So this year also marks the continuation of implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The sustainable development requires sustained attention to safeguarding and enriching our life support systems. This is to acknowledge our indebtedness to Mother Earth for providing the essential life support systems such as land, water, forest, biodiversity, and climate. Let the World Earth Day be a day of reminding us not only today, but every day all through the year to the need to safeguard our life support system. It should be our endeavor to undo the damage already done to the extent possible. I hope that the World Earth Day will be a day of renewed commitment to protect our blue planet. I once again thank Dr. Anil Kumar for inviting me to be with you and share some of my experiences and learn a little bit from you that I was able to spend time this morning. And I hope that all of us will cherish these moments and continue to contribute to the efforts and endeavors of Ms Swaminathan Foundation and the Gram Panchayats located here and the civil organizations, the government and the Planning Commission of Kerala in years to come. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for that inspiring keynote address and Earth Day message. Thank you for joining us. So two of the guests have joined us very recently. Ms. Advocate Amalur Shankaran, the President of District Panchayat Patnamthitta. On behalf of the participants and organizers, we welcome you, sir. Then Advocate Raju Abraham, former MLA Rani constituency and a former member Pamba River Basin Authority. On behalf of the participants and organizers, I welcome you, sir. Thank you. So may I request Srimati Shija? Okay. Door ഒന്ന് തുറന്നിടാവോ? അപ്പോൾ ഓമല്ലൂർ ശങ്കരൻ സാറിനും അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് രാജു ഇബ്രഹാം സാറിനും വേണ്ടി ഈ ഒരു ട്രെയിനിങ്ങിൻ്റെ കാര്യം ഒന്ന് പറയുകയാണ്. ഞങ്ങൾ ms സ്വാമിനാഥൻ ഗവേഷണ നിലയം ഏഷ്യ പസഫിക് നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഫോർ ഗ്ലോബൽ ചേഞ്ച് റിസർച്ച് എന്നുള്ളൊരു സംഘടനയുമായി ചേർന്ന് നടത്തുന്ന റിവർ ഹെൽത്ത് മാനേജ്മെന്റ് അസസ്മെന്റ് അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ട്രെയിനിങ് പ്രോഗ്രാമാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ മാസം ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ലെവൽ പ്രോഗ്രാം നടന്നിരുന്നു. 16 പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇതൊരു നാഷണൽ ലെവൽ ട്രെയിനിങ് ആണ്, ട്രെയിനേഴ്സ് ട്രെയിനിങ് പ്രോഗ്രാം. ഇത് 10 സ്റ്റേറ്റിൽ നിന്നുള്ള 24 പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസ് നമുക്കുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു മോഡ്യൂളിനനുസരിച്ചുള്ള ട്രെയിനിങ് ആണ് ഇവിടെ കഴിഞ്ഞ 5 ദിവസമായി എമിനന്റ് ഫാക്കൽറ്റീസ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഫീൽഡ് ട്രിപ്പും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്ന മെത്തഡോളജീസും അതിൻ്റെ കാര്യങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട് അവരുടെ നാടുകളിൽ തിരിച്ചു പോയിട്ട് എങ്ങനെയാണ് റിവർ ഹെൽത്ത് മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ചെയ്യുക, എങ്ങനെയാണ് അതിൻ്റെ ബയോഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി അസസ് ചെയ്യുക, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു ട്രെയിനേഴ്സ് ലെവൽ ട്രെയിനിങ് പ്രോഗ്രാമാണ് നടന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. So thank you. So may I request Srimati Shija T. Joji, President of Aranmula Panchayat, for the presidential address.
ഈ മീറ്റിംഗിന്റെ ഉദ്ഘാടനം നിർവഹിക്കുന്ന ബഹുമാന്യനായ ജില്ലാ പഞ്ചായത്തിന്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ബഹുമാനമായ ഓമല്ലൂർ ശങ്കരൻ സാർ, അതുപോലെ മുഖ്യ പ്രഭാഷണം ഇവിടെ ഇപ്പോൾ നടത്തിയ ബഹുമാന്യനായ ഡോക്ടർ സഞ്ജയ് വി ദേശ്മുഖ് അവർ, അതേപോലെ റാന്നിയുടെ മുൻ MLA അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് രാജു ഇബ്രാഹിം സാർ, ഡോക്ടർ അനിൽ കുമാർ സാർ, അതുപോലെ ഇവിടെ സ്വാഗതം ആശംസിച്ച ഡോക്ടർ വി ഷക്കീല, ms സ്വാമിനാഥൻ റിസർച്ച് ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ ഇതിന്റെ പ്രവർത്തകര്, ഇവിടുത്തെ ട്രെയിനേഴ്സ്, ഇവിടെ പങ്കെടുത്തിട്ടുള്ള ട്രെയിനേഴ്സ്, ഇന്ന് ലോക ഭൗമ ദിനത്തില് ഇത്രയും വലിയ ഒരു മീറ്റിങ്ങില് പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചതില് അങ്ങേ അറ്റം സന്തോഷവും അഭിമാനവുമുണ്ട്. കാരണം ഈ ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ കഴിഞ്ഞ 2 മീറ്റിങ്ങുകളിലും എനിക്ക് പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചപ്പോൾ ms സ്വാമിനാഥൻ റിസർച്ച് സെന്ററിന്റെ ആഭിമുഖ്യത്തില് നമ്മുടെ നാടിന് വേണ്ടി നടക്കുന്ന വലിയ ഒരു പദ്ധതി, അതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ട്രെയിനിങ് പ്രോഗ്രാമും മറ്റും നടക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത് നേരിട്ട് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചു. സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ലെവലിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞ മാസമുള്ള ആ മീറ്റിങ്ങിന്റെ ഉദ്ഘാടന ചടങ്ങിൽ എനിക്ക് പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചു. അതുപോലെ ഇതിന്റെയും ഉദ്ഘാടന ചടങ്ങിലും അതുപോലെ ഇപ്പോഴേ സമാപന ചടങ്ങിലും പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചു. എന്താണെങ്കിലും 10 സ്ഥലത്തിൽ നിന്നും നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലെത്തി ഈ പ്രകൃതിയെ, റിവറിനെ പറ്റിയൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുകയും ഇവിടെ വന്നിട്ടുള്ള മാറ്റങ്ങളും ഇത് എങ്ങനെ വീണ്ടെടുക്കാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നദികൾക്ക് വന്നിട്ടുള്ള കുഴപ്പങ്ങൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്നും അത് പരിഹരിക്കുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണെന്നൊക്കെ അത് നേരിട്ട് മനസ്സിലാക്കി റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്ത് അവരവരുടെ സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ പോയി അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് കൂടുതൽ മറ്റുള്ളവരിലേക്ക് ഇറങ്ങിച്ചെന്ന് പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സമൂഹത്തിന്റെ മുൻപിലാണ് ഞാൻ നിൽക്കുന്നത്. പലപ്പോഴും ഈ മലയാളം പറയുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്ന പലർക്കും അത് മനസ്സിലാകത്തില്ല എങ്കിലും നിങ്ങളെ എല്ലാവരെയും ഞാൻ അങ്ങേയറ്റം അഭിനന്ദിക്കുന്നു. പലർക്കും പലതിനോടാണ് കൂടുതൽ ഇഷ്ടം. ചിലർക്ക് പാട്ടാണെങ്കിൽ, ചിലർക്ക് ഡാൻസ് ആണ്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഓരോന്നിനോടും ഇഷ്ടമുള്ള അനേക വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങളുടെ ഇടയില് ഈ പ്രകൃതിയെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാൻ ഇഷ്ടം തോന്നി അതിനുവേണ്ടി ഇറങ്ങി തിരിച്ച ആളുകളാണല്ലോ ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. എല്ലാ ആളുകളും പറയുന്നത്, എത്ര റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്താലും അതിൻ്റെ റൂട്ട് ലെവൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഗ്രാമപ്രദേശങ്ങൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പഞ്ചായത്തുകൾ ഒക്കെ ഇത് ഏറ്റെടുത്ത് നടത്തുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ ഇത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഫലവത്താകത്തുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഈ കണ്ടെത്തലിൻ്റെയൊക്കെ അവസാനം മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നത്. എന്തൊക്കെയാണെങ്കിലും ഞാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസത്തെ ആ ഉദ്ഘാടന മീറ്റിങ്ങിലും ഞാൻ ജില്ലാ പഞ്ചായത്തിനെ ഇവിടെ പരാമർശിച്ചായിരുന്നു. കാരണം അവിടെ നിർമ്മൽ ഗ്രാമം പദ്ധതിയുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് ഒത്തിരിയും കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാൻ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട പ്രസിഡന്റ് ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയും അതനുസരിച്ചുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് പത്തനംതിട്ട ജില്ല ആറന്മുള പഞ്ചായത്ത് ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള എല്ലാ പ്രദേശങ്ങളും എത്രയും വൃത്തിയുള്ള പ്രദേശമാക്കി മാറ്റുവാനും നദിയിലെ മാലിന്യങ്ങൾ എറിയാതിരിക്കാൻ ആളുകളെ ബോധവൽക്കരിക്കുന്നതിനോടുൾപ്പെടെ ഒത്തിരി കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കും. അതിനകത്ത് ആറന്മുള പഞ്ചായത്ത് ഉൾപ്പെടെ ശക്തമായിട്ട് അതിനോടൊപ്പം നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് പ്രവർത്തിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതേപോലെ നദികളുടെ സൈഡുകളിൽ ഞാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം ഹരിതകർമ്മസേനയെ കുറിച്ച് ഇവിടെ സംസാരിച്ചായിരുന്നു. ഹരിതകർമ്മസേനയുടെ പ്രവർത്തനത്തിന്റെ ഫലമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക്കുകൾ മാലിന്യങ്ങൾ വലിച്ചെറിയുന്ന ശീലത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ആളുകളെ തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നതിനൊപ്പം തന്നെ RRF ആറന്മുള ഗ്രാമപഞ്ചായത്തില് ഞങ്ങൾക്കുണ്ട് പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക്. അത് എനിക്ക് ഇവിടെ മാഡത്തിനോട് സംസാരിച്ചപ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചത് ഇപ്പോഴും ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും അത്ര ആളുകൾക്ക് അറിയില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഒരു സ്ഥലത്ത് RRF ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ പ്രദേശത്തെ പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക് അവിടെ പൊടിച്ചിട്ട് അത് വേറെ സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ ടാറിങ്ങിനോട് കൂടെ അതും കൂടെ ചേർത്ത് ഈ പ്രകൃതിക്ക് ഒരു ദോഷവും ഇല്ലാത്ത രീതിയിൽ സംസ്കരിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ ഒരു സാധനങ്ങൾ പോലും വലിച്ചെറിയാതെ അത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് എത്തേണ്ടിടത്ത് എത്തിക്കാനുള്ള സംവിധാനങ്ങൾ ഓരോ വീടുകളിലും ചെന്ന് ശേഖരിക്കാനുള്ള സംവിധാനങ്ങൾ ഉൾപ്പെടെ നമ്മൾ അത് ഏറ്റെടുത്ത് നടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെങ്കിൽ ഇതിനകത്ത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ജനങ്ങൾ ഓരോ വ്യക്തിയും ഇത് ഏറ്റെടുക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പ്രധാനം. അതിന് നല്ല ബോധവൽക്കരണം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ അത് സാധ്യമാകുകയുള്ളൂ. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും അതിന് എല്ലാവരും കൂടെ ചേർന്നുള്ള ഈ ഉദ്യമത്തില് അത് സാധിക്കുമെന്ന് തന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾ കരുതുന്നു. ഈ റിവറിന്റെ അതിനെ തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന ഒരു പദ്ധതിയുടെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു നമ്മള് കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസങ്ങളിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞ ഒരു 2-3 മാസത്തിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ നദിയുടെ തീരത്ത് പല ഫലവൃക്ഷ തൈകൾ നടുകയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ രാമച്ചത്തിന്റെ തൈകൾ 2500 രാമച്ചത്തിന്റെ തൈകള് ഈ പമ്പയുടെ തീരത്ത് ആറന്മുള പഞ്ചായത്തിൽ നട്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞു. അതിന്റെ തുടർ സംരക്ഷണവും നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ ഈ നാട്ടിൽ നോക്കാമെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നത് ഇതൊക്കെ ഈ പ്രകൃതിയിലേക്ക് ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോകുന്ന വെള്ളത്തിനെ ശുദ്ധീകരിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള ചെടികളാണ് ഈ രാമച്ചൊക്കെ. അതേപോലെ വളരെ നല്ല ഔഷധ ഗുണമുള്ള പ്രകൃതിയിൽ ഇതേപോലെ നമ്മളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്ന ഫലവൃക്ഷത്തൈകളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. അവയൊക്കെ നമ്മളും സംരക്ഷിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് അത് പരിപാലിക്കുമ്പോൾ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു പോയത് പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടല്ലെങ്കിലും കുറെയെങ്കിലും നമുക്ക് തിരിച്ചെടുക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും എന്നുള്ളതിന് യാതൊരു സംശയവുമില്ല. എന്താണെങ്കിലും ഒത്തിരിയും ആളുകൾക്ക് ഇനിയും ട്രെയിനിങ് കൊടുക്കുവാനും ഒത്തിരി സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ ഈ അറിവ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കിട്ടിയത് ആ പ്രദേശത്തിന്റെ വളർച്ചയ്ക്ക് ആകമാനം ഉപയോഗിക്കാനും ഇടയാകട്ടെ. അതേപോലെ ഇവിടെ ഈ ആറന്മുള പഞ്ചായത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഈ ട്രെയിനിങ് പ്രോഗ്രാം നടന്നത് കൊണ്ട് എനിക്കും അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് കൂടുതൽ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചതിൽ വളരെ അങ്ങേറ്റം ചാരിതാർത്ഥ്യമുണ്ട്. ഈ പുഴയുടെ തീരത്ത് നിങ്ങൾ ഇതിന്റെ മനോഹാരിതയൊക്കെ ആസ്വദിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഈ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കാനൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾക്കും കഴിഞ്ഞു എന്നുള്ളത് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഗ്യമാണ്. ആറന്മുള എന്നുള്ള ഒരു സ്ഥലം കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ഈ ലോകത്തിൽ തന്നെ എല്ലാവരും കേട്ടിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്ഥലമാണ് ആറന്മുള. ഈ ആറന്മുളയിലെ ഈ ക്ലാസ്സുകളിലൊക്കെ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ വന്ന നിങ്ങള് ആറന്മുള കണ്ണാടിയും ആറന്മുള ക്ഷേത്രവും ഒക്കെ സന്ദർശിച്ചോ എന്ന് എനിക്കറിയില്ല. എന്താണെങ്കിലും അവയൊക്കെ വളരെ മഹത്തായി കരുതുന്ന ഒരു നാട്ടില് നിങ്ങൾക്കും വരുവാൻ സാധിച്ചതില് നിങ്ങളെ അങ്ങേറ്റം ഞാൻ അഭിനന്ദിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കിട്ടിയ ഈ അറിവുകള് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി കരുതി വെച്ച ഈ അമൂല്യമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങള് ജനങ്ങളിലേക്ക് എത്തിച്ചേർന്നുകൊണ്ട് ഈ പ്രകൃതിയെ അതിന് ചൂഷണം ചെയ്ത കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നൊക്കെ തിരിച്ചു പിടിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് ആഗ്രഹിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ നിർത്തുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവിധ ഭാവുകളും നേരുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, Madam. So I think I should give a very brief translation. She's very happy to meet you all and appreciate the whole community here because you have come with a vision and now you have a mission. So when you go back, you will be able to extend your help in river restoration at your respective locations. And she was also reiterating the plastics and other programs which they have at the Panchayat. For river restoration also, they have already initiated many programs, and let this program continue. And after the trainers training program, all the best for all of you. When you go back, you can do wonders. Okay, thank you, Madam. So may I request Advocate Omallo Shankaran sir, President of District Panchayat Pathanamthitta, for the valedictory address.
Dear President of Armala Grama Panchayat, Srimati Shija T. Toji, dear Mr. Raju Abraham, ex-MLA, Mr. Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, organizers of this workshop, dear friends. First of all, I extend warm greetings to all of you on behalf of the Pathanamthitta District Panchayat. It is a pride for me to attend this workshop. But just a few minutes ago, when I reached here, I came to know that most of the participants in this meeting are from other states and are not able to understand the language of Malayalam. But sorry to say that I'm not able to prepare a speech in English. So because I am not able to express all my ideas in English. Therefore, I deliver my speech in Malayalam, and it will be translated by the organizers of this meeting. Surattukal. Yes. What I say is that most of my ideas I may not be expressed in English. Pathanamthitta district നദികളാൽ സമ്പന്നമായ ഒന്നാണ്. 3 rivers, major rivers, one Pamba, then Manimala and Achangodu, and also a few part of another river, that is Kallada, is also flowing along by the side of this district. അങ്ങനെ 4 നദികളാൽ സമ്പന്നമായ ഒരു ജില്ലയാണ് പത്തനംതിട്ട ജില്ല. നദീ സംരക്ഷണം എന്നത് ഇവിടെ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്ന നദികളുടെ ആരോഗ്യവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട പ്രശ്നമാണ്. ഹെൽത്ത് ഓഫ് റിവേഴ്സ്. നദികളുടെ ആരോഗ്യം സംരക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടണമെങ്കിൽ അത് ജനങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റെടുക്കേണ്ട ഒരു കടമയായി നമ്മൾ കാണുകയാണ്. ജനങ്ങൾ മാത്രമല്ല, രാജ്യത്തെ ഭരണാധികാരികൾ, സെൻട്രൽ ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഗവൺമെന്റ്സ്, ഓൾ ഓഫ് ദ പീപ്പിൾ, എല്ലാവരുടെയും ഒരു കടമയാണ് നദികളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുക. ഈ നദികൾ സംസ്കാരത്തിന്റെ തന്നെ ഉറവിടമാണ്. സംസ്കാരം, ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് കൾച്ചർ. നദികളെ ബേസ് ചെയ്ത കൾച്ചറാണ് ലോകത്തെവിടെയും കാണാൻ കഴിയും. മനുഷ്യ സമൂഹം രൂപം കൊണ്ട കാലം മുതൽ ചരിത്രം പരിശോധിച്ചാൽ നദികളെ കേന്ദ്രീകരിച്ചാണ് സംസ്കാരങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായത്. All the cultures have emerged from the background of rivers. അത് ഏഷ്യയിലായാലും ആഫ്രിക്കയിലായാലും യൂറോപ്പിലായാലും എവിടെയായാലും പൂർവകാല സംസ്കാരങ്ങളെല്ലാം തന്നെ നദികളെ അടിസ്ഥാനപ്പെടുത്തിയ. നദികളുടെ തീരങ്ങളിലാണ് ജനങ്ങൾ വെള്ളം ലഭ്യമാക്കാൻ താമസിച്ചു തുടങ്ങിയത്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഈ ഭൂമിയുടെ തന്നെ നിലനിൽപ്പ് നദികളുടെ നിലനിൽപ്പും അഭേദ്യമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടതാണ്. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള നദികൾ സംരക്ഷിക്കുക എന്നത് ഭൂമിയുടെ നിലനിൽപ്പിന് തന്നെ, ജീവജാലങ്ങളുടെ നിലനിൽപ്പിന് തന്നെ അനിവാര്യമാണ്, അത്യന്താപേക്ഷിതമാണ്. ഇന്ന് ഏറ്റവും അധികം ചർച്ച ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു വിഷയമാണ് ഗ്ലോബൽ വാർമിംഗ്, ക്ലൈമറ്റ് ചേഞ്ച് ആൻഡ് ഗ്ലോബൽ വാർമിംഗ്. ക്ലൈമറ്റ് ചേഞ്ചും ഗ്ലോബൽ വാർമിങ്ങും എല്ലാം തന്നെ നദീ സംരക്ഷണവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടതാണ്. ഇതെല്ലാം പരസ്പരം കൃത്യമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതാണ് വസ്തുത. ഭൂഗർഭജലത്തിന്റെ അളവ് താണുപോകുന്നു ഒരു ഭാഗത്ത്, മറുഭാഗത്ത് അന്തരീക്ഷത്തിൽ താപത്തിന്റെ വർധന ഉണ്ടാവുന്നതിന്റെ ഫലമായി, ചൂട് കൂടുന്നതിന്റെ ഫലമായി മഞ്ഞുരുകി വെള്ളമായി മാറുകയും കടലിലെ ജലനിരപ്പ്, സമുദ്ര ജലനിരപ്പ് ഉയരുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇന്ന് ലോകത്ത് പാരിസ്ഥിതിക പ്രശ്നങ്ങളാണ് ഏറ്റവും അധികം ചർച്ച ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്നത്. മുൻകാലങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ മറ്റ് പല വിഷയങ്ങൾക്കും പ്രാധാന്യമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇന്ന് എൻവയോൺമെന്റൽ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ആണ് ലോകത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ചർച്ചാ വിഷയം. ലോക കാലാവസ്ഥാ ഉച്ചകോടി, എർത്ത് സമ്മിറ്റ്, സമ്മിറ്റ് ഓൺ ഗ്ലോബൽ വാർമിംഗ്, ഇതെല്ലാം ഇന്ന് ഏറ്റവും പ്രാധാന്യത്തോടെ നടക്കുകയാണ്. ലോക കാലാവസ്ഥാ സമ്മേളനം, വേൾഡ് സമ്മിറ്റ്, അത് ഗ്ലാസ്ഗോയിൽ നടന്നു സമീപകാലത്ത്, എ ഫ്യൂ മന്ത്സ് അഗോ. സമീപകാലത്താണ് നടന്നത്. ഗ്ലാസ്ഗോ സമ്മിറ്റിൽ ഇത്തരം വിഷയങ്ങളെല്ലാം തന്നെ ഗൗരവമായി ചർച്ച ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. നദികളുടെ ആരോഗ്യം, ഹെൽത്ത് ഓഫ് റിവർ, അത് സംരക്ഷിക്കപ്പെട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ വലിയ അപകടത്തിലേക്കാണ് രാജ്യം പോകാൻ പോകുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോ അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ, കൃഷി നദികളെ ആശ്രയിച്ചാണ് ലോകത്താദ്യം ആരംഭിക്കുന്നത്. എവിടെ നദിയുണ്ടോ അവിടെയാണ് ലോകത്ത് കൃഷി ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ആരംഭിച്ചത്. അതെല്ലാം പരിശോധിച്ച് നോക്കിയാൽ നദികളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുക, നദികളിൽ ജലം സംരക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടുക എന്നത് ഭൂമിയുടെ തന്നെ നിലനിൽപ്പിന് ആവശ്യമായി മാറുകയാണ്. ഇന്നിപ്പോ ഡാംസ്, there are several dams and check dams. അതെല്ലാം ഇന്ന് നദികളെ കേന്ദ്രീകരിച്ചുണ്ട്. ഈ ഡാമിൽ വെള്ളം കെട്ടി നിൽക്കുന്നത്, അത് സ്റ്റോർ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത് പിന്നീട് നമുക്ക് ഏതാവശ്യത്തിനും ഉപയോഗിക്കാവുന്ന നിലയിലാണ്. ഹൈഡ്രോ ഇലക്ട്രിക് പ്രോജക്റ്റിന് ഉപയോഗിക്കാം, ഇറിഗേഷൻ പർപ്പസസിന് ഉപയോഗിക്കാം, അതുപോലെ ഡ്രിങ്കിങ് വാട്ടർ പർപ്പസിന് ഉപയോഗിക്കാം. അങ്ങനെ ഡാമിൽ വെള്ളം കെട്ടി നിർത്തി വെള്ളം സംഭരിക്കുന്നതും നല്ല കാര്യം തന്നെയാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ കേരളം, ആസ് ഫാർ ആസ് കേരള ഈസ് കൺസേൺ, കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത എന്തെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മളിവിടെ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഈ നദികളിലെ വെള്ളം കടലിലേക്ക് ഒഴുകി പോവുകയാണ്. മഴ ഏറ്റവും ലഭ്യമാകുന്ന ഒരു സംസ്ഥാനമാണ് കേരളം. ഇന്ത്യയിലെ തന്നെ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ മഴ ലഭ്യമാകുന്ന ഒരു സംസ്ഥാനമാണ്. ആ അർത്ഥത്തിൽ പരിശോധിച്ചാൽ വെള്ളം ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ, പ്രകൃതിയിലെ ജലം ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ലഭ്യമാകുന്നത് ഉപരിതലത്തിലാണ് അത് ലഭ്യമാകുന്നത്. ഭൂമിയുടെ സർഫസിലാണ് അത് ലഭ്യമാകുന്നത്. എന്നാൽ ഭൂമിയുടെ സർഫസിൽ ലഭ്യമാകുന്ന, അവൈലബിൾ ആകുന്ന ഈ മഴയുടെ വെള്ളം, റെയിൻ വാട്ടർ ഹാർവെസ്റ്റിംഗ് ഈസ് വെരി പുവർ ഇൻ ദി സ്റ്റേറ്റ്. റെയിൻ വാട്ടർ ഹാർവെസ്റ്റിംഗ് ഫലപ്രദമായി നടത്തിയാൽ മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് ഗ്രൗണ്ട് വാട്ടർ ലെവൽ കൃത്യമായി സംരക്ഷിക്കാൻ കഴിയുകയുള്ളൂ. ഇവിടെ മഴക്കാലത്ത് നദികളിൽ, ഇപ്പോ ദിസ് കോൺഫറൻസ് ഈസ് കണ്ടക്ടിങ് ജസ്റ്റ് നിയർ ദി പമ്പ റിവർ. പമ്പ മഴക്കാലത്ത് വലിയ വെള്ളപ്പൊക്കം ഉണ്ടാവും, വലിയ ഫ്ലഡ് ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ്. മഴ മാറിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വെള്ളമില്ലാത്ത ഒരവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് വരും. ഇത് കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഒരു ഭൂപ്രകൃതിയാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ നടക്കുന്ന വലിയൊരു ഡിസ്കഷൻ നദികളിലെ ജലത്തെ എങ്ങനെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാം, അതുവഴി ഗ്രൗണ്ട് വാട്ടർ ലെവൽ എങ്ങനെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാം, ഇതൊക്കെ ഇവിടുത്തെ വലിയ ചർച്ചയാണ്. ഇപ്പോ ഫോറസ്റ്റ് ഏരിയ നദികളുടെയൊക്കെ കാച്ച്മെന്റ് ഏരിയയാണ്. അതിന്റെ സോഴ്സ് അവിടെ നിന്നാണ് വെള്ളം വരുന്നത്. ഡീഫോറസ്റ്റൈസേഷൻ ഒരു വലിയ ചർച്ചാ വിഷയമാണ് ഇന്നിപ്പോ നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യത്ത്. നദികളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്നതിന് അനിവാര്യമായ ഒരു കാര്യമാണ് ഫോറസ്റ്റൈസേഷൻ, പ്രൊട്ടക്ടിങ് ദ ഫോറസ്റ്റ്, ഡെൻസ് ഫോറസ്റ്റ്, ഒക്കെ നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. ഡീഫോറസ്റ്റൈസേഷൻ വരാതിരിക്കാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ ഗവൺമെന്റ് നന്നായിട്ട് ഇടപെടുന്നുണ്ട്. വൃക്ഷങ്ങൾ ധാരാളമായിട്ടുണ്ടാവണം, വൃക്ഷങ്ങൾ നട്ടുപിടിപ്പിക്കണം. അപ്പോൾ പരിസ്ഥിതി സംരക്ഷണം തന്നെ ഇതിലെ ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഘടകമാണ്. ഈ പമ്പ നദികൾ, പത്തനംതിട്ട ഡിസ്ട്രിക്റ്റിലെ ഈ റിവേഴ്സ്, ഇതെല്ലാം തന്നെ ഇതിലെ വെള്ളം ഒഴുകി എത്തുന്നത് കുട്ടനാട് ലേക്കിലേക്കാണ്. കുട്ടനാട് അതൊരു പ്രത്യേക പ്രദേശമാണ്. കുട്ടനാട് ഏരിയ ഈസ് സിറ്റുവേറ്റഡ് 3 meters below the sea water level. അപ്പൊ 3 സമുദ്രനിരപ്പിനേക്കാൾ, അറേബ്യൻ സീയിലെ വാട്ടർ ലെവലിനേക്കാൾ 3 meters ബിലോ ആണ് ദിസ് കുട്ടനാട് ഏരിയ. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കുട്ടനാട് ഏരിയയിലെ വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ സ്രോതസ്, അതിന്റെ സോഴ്സ് ഈ പത്തനംതിട്ട ഡിസ്ട്രിക്റ്റിലെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട നദികളാണ്. പമ്പയും മണിമലയും അച്ചൻകോവിലും ആൻഡ് ഓൾസോ ഈ മൂവാറ്റുപുഴ റിവർ. ഈ റിവേഴ്സ് എല്ലാമാണ് കുട്ടനാടിന്റെ വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ ആകെ സോഴ്സ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള പ്രാധാന്യം ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് ഈ നദികളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുക എന്നത് ഇന്ന് ഒരു വലിയ സോഷ്യൽ ഇഷ്യൂ ആയിട്ട് മാറിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്ത് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകേണ്ടത് വളരെ ആവശ്യമാണ്. There was a commission led by Dr. Ms Swaminathan for the study of problems of this Kutanad area. That was Kutanad package, known as Kutanad package, which started in 2007. I also attended the discussions before the Swaminathan delegation in 2008 and 2007. And also Swaminathan submitted a report for protection of this entire Kutanad area. Kutanad is a water flooded area and also an area in which large number of paddy is cultivated and rice is produced. അങ്ങനെ എല്ലാമുള്ള പ്രത്യേകതകളുള്ള ഒരു സ്ഥലമാണ് കുട്ടനാട്. Swaminathan Foundation made a good study on Kutanad Lake and that Kutanad paddy fields, and they have submitted a report before the central government in 2007 or 2008. And the central government made a planning for Kutanad package, and it was implemented partially, only partially. That Kutanad is just adjacent to this place, this Aranmula. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരുപാട് പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ നമ്മുടെ നാടിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചുണ്ട്. ഇതെല്ലാം അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യും. These problems, all these problems start to be addressed very seriously. അങ്ങനെയെല്ലാം നമ്മൾ ഇതിനെ കാണേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. Now the Biodiversity Board of Kerala. Biodiversity Board of Kerala has made a planning for protection of all the rivers in our state. There are 44 rivers in our state, Kerala. ഈ 44 നദികളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി ബയോഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി ബോർഡ് ആൻഡ് കേരള ഗവൺമെന്റ് made a very valuable planning. അവർ ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാംസ് എല്ലാം തന്നെ നടപ്പിലാക്കി. അപ്പോൾ ബയോഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി along with the biodiversity boards, our district panchayats had implemented some programs. It was mentioned by the president of this Grama Panchayat here. We planted thousands of trees along the side of this Pamba river. And now a work is going on to remove all the soil, മണ്ണ് ഇവിടെ നദികളുടെ മധ്യത്തിലെല്ലാം തന്നെ തടസ്സമായി നിൽക്കുന്ന ധാരാളം പുറ്റുകൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന നിരവധി കൂനകളുണ്ട്. അതെല്ലാം നീക്കം ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരുപാട് പ്രോഗ്രാംസ് നടക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെയെല്ലാം നദികളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുക എന്നത് വളരെ പ്രധാനമായി നാം കാണുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ജനങ്ങളുടെ തെറ്റായ ഉപയോഗത്തിന്റെ ഫലമായി ഈ നദികളിലെ വെള്ളം, the water in these rivers are being more and more polluted. Pollution in the river water is also a serious problem. Huge amount of coliform bacteria, huge quantity of coliform bacteria in major rivers. River Ganga contains the largest quantity of coliform bacteria in our country. And also this Pamba in several times contains a large extent of coliform bacteria, especially during this Shabarimala pilgrimage season. ഇങ്ങനെയെല്ലാമുള്ള ഒരുപാട് വിഷയങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. എന്തായാലും സ്വാമിനാഥൻ ഫൗണ്ടേഷനും ഏഷ്യ പസഫിക് നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഫോർ ഗ്ലോബൽ ചേഞ്ച് റിസർച്ച് എന്ന സ്ഥാപനവും കൂടി ചേർന്ന് നടത്തുന്ന ഈ ഡിസ്കഷൻ, ഈ വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പ് വളരെ ഗുണകരമാണ്. നമുക്കിത് these ideas has to be extended before the people, common people. It is not to be limited for discussion among the academicians. അങ്ങനെയുള്ളവർ മാത്രം ചിന്തിച്ചാൽ പോരാ, സാധാരണ ജനങ്ങളിലേക്ക് ഡിസ്കഷൻ നമുക്ക് ഉയർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് വരേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിനെല്ലാം ഈ this workshop will help all these things, and I extend once again greetings to all of you, and I inaugurate this valedictory function. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that speech. I think it was very well communicated in a hybrid way, both in Malayalam and English, but you must have heard of everything. Okay, thank you. So now may I invite Dr. Rajendra Shinde, former director in UNEP and chairman Terry Policy, for a brief address, followed by Advocate Raju Abraham. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it so happened that it has started raining here. So there may be some disruption. It is a good news that the fresh water is falling down, but it may cause problem in electricity or Wi-Fi. And I'm at the place, which is a hilly place. So please bear with me in case you encounter any problem. I'm sitting under the shade, and probably you are hearing the noise of raindrops falling on the shade. Are you still able to hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So let me start. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It is an amazingly interesting training program. But first of all, let me salute Dr. Ms Swaminathan. He is an icon, visionary, activist, and something which he believed in, he implemented it and showed it. I think he was less of a talk and more of a walk. And for the person like me who was young when I listened to him a couple of times, I was just inspired by him. And I would really like to acknowledge the kind of inspiration he has given it to the young people at that time, and continue to give that inspiration to many of us who are present here. I find that this particular session is amazing from another point of view. This session is a combination of Vice Chancellor, United Nations diplomat like me, but more importantly, the Gram Panchayat representatives. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep on asking you, are you able to hear me? Hello? Hello?
No issue. We can hear you.
I'm not able to hear you.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Please respond to me because I'm a bit worried whether I will keep on talking and then you're not listening to you. Let me also inform you that apart from the representative of Gram Panchayat, Vice Chancellor, United Nations diplomat like me, who continues to work for United Nations still, we also have in audience another Vice Chancellor who is online from the university in Assam. That is Royal Guwahati. University. We also have in audience expert on oceans, Sunil Muralidhar Shastri. And on top of it, like Dr. Anil Kumar, Dr. Shakila, who have organized this particular event in such an intelligent fashion of getting all these people together. This is not a 5-star event. This is the event which is taking place, is already getting damaged.
Hello, sir. Please unmute.
Right, I did that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think in a momentary, this was a problem over there. And it is a representative. This organization is a representative of what is needed to be done. If you have to solve the problems, which is a huge problem of river pollution and issue of getting the river healthy, is such important that all of us have to get together, not just talks, but with the actions. And this is the right kind of combinations that we have. So I would like to congratulate the organizers and the dedication that Dr. Anil Kumar and Dr. Shakila have shown in organizing this is unparalleled. We in the United Nations like to hold the meetings in a and coming on the trainers on the banks of the river where it actually, let me tell you that I'm not a river expert. Was in a village which was near to the tributary of Krishna River, which flows from Maharashtra to Andhra Pradesh,
Okay,
and
excuse
then to
me,
the
sir.
United Nations in Paris office. My office
Excuse me,
was
sir.
overlooking River Seine. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, but if you can switch off your camera, it will be nice because the bandwidth is very low.
Okay, good.
Please switch off your camera and
Right,
then continue
right.
talking. Yes.
So
Thank
you were
you.
able to hear my sentences in the last
Yes,
few
thank you.
sentences. Is that correct?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And at present, I'm sitting with you in a place called Mahabaleshwar, which is no doubt is a hill station in Western Ghat. But it is also the source of 5 rivers: Krishna, Koyna, Venna, Savitri, and Gayatri. So there is a lot of connection with the rivers as I traveled in my life. And even today, where I'm sitting. But still, I'm not an expert in the river. But what I know is that when there is a problem which is of regional in nature or global in nature, what is the way that we can get going to make it from problem to the solution, from the challenge to the opportunity? And this is what I'm going to do in my short presentation just now. I don't have PowerPoint presentation. I will just keep on talking. It's going to be extremely brief. The rain has slightly reduced here. It stopped. You no longer can hear the raindrops falling on the shed. But let me start saying something interesting. This is a Earth Day, which started in 1970, but now we call it Mother Earth Day. And I feel that credit goes to India, because only in India we started calling Earth Mother. In 1970, when Earth Day first celebrated in USA, it was just an Earth Day. Earth was a planet. And there was a problem with the planet, and that's why the celebration started. But then it was given what is called as a turn to make it more attached, more emotional, more dedication. And that's what we have, which is the Mother Earth. And in all our ancient literatures, you all know, the participants, that we always call our planet a mother. It's another matter that we have given a tremendous displeasure to this mother due to our greed, due to our disrespect to the nature's ecosystems, but still we respect the Mother Earth. And hence there is a hope that we will be able to restore it. The second unique thing I would like to mention, that this is the first Mother's Earth Day, which is coming in a decade of restoration of ecosystem declared by United Nations. As previous speakers have indicated, that ecosystem is in a danger. Exactly about a year back, IPBES, that is Intergovernmental Science Policy-Based Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem, came out with their report, which says that it's an unprecedented damage to not only the land, but the whole ecosystem, which we have not seen thousands of years. The rate of extinction of species is unprecedented and unparalleled. Fortunately, we don't know whether one of those species is a human beings. But if we don't take action, probably we will be one of those species. IPBES said that 1 million species are on the verge of extinction by end of this century, which is shocking. And then just about a few weeks back, IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, on which I was a coordinating lead author in 2007. That time it was assessment report 4, and now the latest few weeks back is assessment report 6. It has said that disaster is running faster than humanity, faster than our action. We are lagging behind. So all signs are of warning signs. And in such warning sign, what action we can do together, I'm going to tell you in a brief way, because I did that when I was in United Nations. Maybe many of you know forgotten, but there was a similar situation on depletion of the ozone layer. the stratospheric ozone layer, which is called as an earth shield from the life-threatening sun's UV rays. And that was getting depleted because of man-made chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons. And there are other 100 chemicals which are of not of that quantity, but in a smaller quantity. What we did, we not just said that we should do this. We didn't keep on saying that we should change the curriculum of the students in the schools and universities. We didn't say that we must take actions at local and global level. We just did it. You know, Nike says, just do it. We say at that time, just did it. By 2010, we just made the CFCs and other man-made chemicals vanish, which were responsible for damage of the ozone layer. That happened for the simple reason that developed and developing countries came together. Developed countries accepted the responsibility that they were the major cause of the damage to the ozone layer. And developing countries said that if at all we get a funding and the technologies, we will cooperate and close down our factories. That's what it did. We just got together and we didn't go back on our promises. We didn't allow them to go back on Paris promises. UNEP was right on a track, United Nations Environment Program. And as per the Montreal Protocol, on dot, we made CFC vanish. Can we take that example for the rivers? I'm not going to tell you how many rivers are there and what kind of damage is being done and who is responsible for it. No. Those who are responsible and those who are beneficiaries of water should come together and agree that we all need to take action. Don't look at the government. Don't look at the Prime Minister Modi. Don't look at the Chief Minister of Kerala. Just get together. And river pollution is taking place mainly because of the people and the industries sitting on the river banks. It's as simple as that. Those should pay for that pollution. They should commit. And for that, you don't require policies. Just go ahead and do that. The Gram Panchayat can do it. The state government can do it. These are the veins and arteries of our body. You cannot allow them to get shocks, polluted. They should not get diabetes with excessive sugar and excessive salt. That should be prevented. When we get diabetes, we go to the doctor. We don't go to Prime Minister Modi. We don't go to the Chief Minister. We just do it. And this is what needed to be done. Unless this is done, I don't think the problem will get solved by end of this century. And we will have no water. Just about 6 hours from now, I'm going to speak on another forum online, invited by California. And that's why I advertise this particular session as a Kerala to California. In California, they said there is no drop to drink. There is a drought in California which has not taken place 1200 years in history. Can you imagine? One of the richest states in USA is under drought. There is no water. And that California is known for Silicon Valley. No algorithm can solve the problem of pollution of rivers. There can be many coding that Google can do it, Microsoft can do it, but no coding will help in solving this problem. It has to be solved together. Just do it. And after that, just say that just did it. We have the right forum here. We have Gram Panchayat. We have MSSRF, which is known for its, it is known for its actions, commitment, dedication. that Dr. Ms Swaminathan has shown throughout his life. We have the right kind of trainers in front of us, and they need not write blogs. They need not write essays. They need not write thesis. There is one more positive and a long-term suggestion I want to make. And that suggestion is, well, we have all this Indian Institute of Technology grant from where I passed. Then we have Indian Institute of Management. Then we have this Indian Institute of Meteorological Department. There is no Indian Institute of Rivers Management. Why not MSSRF and my organization and the APN, that Asian network, and even Gram Panchayat can join in setting up what is called as Indian Institute of River Management. It's going to be a long-term process. We can solve this problem a step by step, but we must start it now. In the long term, we need to do some kind of a research, parallel one, because we need to get the potential of the young people right. We have with us Sanjay Deshmukh, Dr. Sanjay Deshmukh, the youngest Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University in last 162 years. Why not he start the programs not only on mangroves, but trying to find out what is basically wrong with these people sitting on the banks of the river, what exactly the farmers are doing, what the city dwellers are doing, what the rich people are doing which make the poor people suffer, and start some kind of a social research, the developmental research, and not just scientific research. I'm not undermining scientific research, but we have a Nobel laureate like Banerjee, who has told us that developmental research is of immediate value. Scientific research can take a longer time to solve the problem. So my appeal is, get going on the actions, and MSSRF can guide. My organization, Ther Policy Center, can join in. We are working together on a number of other issues like beekeeping, the university network in Western Ghats. We are all doing that. But let's come to the specific problem of river pollution, healthy river management. We have to get rid of this diabetic condition of India's rivers. Prime Minister Modi has said recently in Pune, where I live now, he said that every year, just like United Nations says, every decade is named as some kind of a, for example, this decade is an ecosystem restoration. So every year, the universities in India should take one theme and work on that theme and make sure that it continues to work with some group of people. Why not in Kerala? We take theme for 2022 to 2025 of making the rivers of Kerala healthy. And I think the youth has a great potential. We have the project called Smart Campus Cloud Network, where about 400 universities are in this network, and they are working not for research, not for developmental studies. It is working for making their campus SDG related achievements. Do that work, localize the SDGs in the campus, do the work, do the act, and see what is the result, and that can be leading by the front. Youth can lead from front side. They not only write, or not they only do the thesis, but they can also take action. All those universities in Kerala probably can be part of the Smart Campus Cloud Network, and we can take river as one of the subjects to act on. That is SDG number 6. And also the SDG related to the life below water. Unfortunately, we have limited water, and probably we will land in a pandemic. Let's call it a water pandemic. And that time we'll start strengthening what is called as a water infrastructure. The way we did in 2020 and 2021, we started looking at our health infrastructure. And now everybody talking about health infrastructure. All our useful money, including that allotted to the education, is going into the health sector. I'm sure the time will come. People are predicting the wars because of the water. I'm predicting a pandemic due to water. And that time, people will start strengthening the water infrastructure. Let's not come to that level. Let's use this amazingly organized workshop of training the young people for the healthy river management and the restoration of river. And let's get going. And in 5 years' time, we should not say just do it, but we should say just did it. Thank you very much. And again, the salute to Dr. Ms Swaminathan. Hope the organizers will take my message to him and our appreciation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for that nice address. And all the suggestions are very important. Definitely, MSSRF will keep in touch with you for taking it up forward. Thank you, sir. On behalf of the participants and the organizers, I thank you. Thank you, sir. So now may I request Advocate Raju Abraham to have the special address. Sorry for keep waiting for you. So actually, when we deal the hybrid mode, it's always the pressure of organizers. Thank you.
പഞ്ചായത്ത് പ്രസിഡന്റ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രിസൈഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നു ശ്രീജ, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് ഓമലൂർ ശങ്കരൻ, ജില്ലാ പഞ്ചായത്ത് പ്രസിഡന്റ്, distinguished guests, especially scientists, professors, academicians, grassroots practitioners from more than 10 states who are participating in this training program in river health management. It is a great honor for getting an invitation from Swaminathan Foundation to attend this training program. In 1998, Government of Kerala submitted a proposal before central government for a river action plan to protect Pamba. Kerala Legislative Assembly Environment Committee, after a detailed study, prepared the proposal, and I am one of the member of the same Assembly Committee. 2001, Government of India sanctioned a seed amount, and certain works have been done in and around Pamba region. After 2018 flood, Central Water Commission and other government agencies made some studies, but no action has been taken yet. Now Kerala Biodiversity Board President stated such things a few moments ago. Biodiversity Board with government aid started a riparian vegetation to protect especially the river banks. Kuttanad and Vembanad Lake were globally recognized area in this basis of ecological and agricultural heritage specialties. Now Kuttanad has got a UNFAO recognition by a globally important agricultural heritage system. In order to protect Vembanad, Shastangota, Ashtamudi lakes has been included in the Ramsar status. Due to its international importance, we have to regenerate Pamba and all the rivers of our country. Due to global warming and climate change, world is facing an acute water scarcity in the near future. We have to study our people about the importance to protect the river and the fresh water and all inhabitants in and around the rivers. See, we have to train our people some new methods to observe the rivers with its bio indicators to understand its river health and status. Those who get this training should spend more time for the river regeneration in various states in our country. Nowadays, we have to build huge treatment plants to purify the river water for distribution. because the river water is highly polluted. So our aim is to make river water clean and purified without any coliform bacteria or chemicals so that we can drink river water straight from the river. In order to keep the ecological balance, we have to protect all the inhabitants and vegetation in and around the rivers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that nice address. So now may I request the guest to distribute the certificate of participation to the participants. Please join us. I shall call the names one by one. Akhil Sajan. Yes. Okay. So Akhil Sajan is from Botanical Survey of India. Next, Dr. Shayesh. He's from Goa Wetland Authority. Dr. Amarisha Pandey. Dr. Sudeep Shukla. Dr. D. Selva Mugilan. Mr. Kunvan Mahajan. Dr. Jitendra Kumar Nagar. Shri Balakrishnan Nair. Ms. Durga Baburao Kamath. Durga. Ms. Bhavani. Dr. Parvati Jayashankar. Ms. Ravi Kiran. Mr. G. Kiran. Nikhil Augustine. Ms. Rosamma Thomas. Sai Dinesh. Sorry, Dinesh. Next, Dr. Saraj Kumar Barik. Ms. Ron Twist. Sri Ranjini T.S. Krishna Maya Nair. So I think a couple of participants have already left. We'll be posting the certificates to them. Hope all of the participants have received the certificates, right? Who are all present in the hall. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So may I request Dr. Anil Kumar to give the way forward for this training session. Please. So we can have a group photo here.